Welcome back to the Football Terrace. This is the full fan highlight show. Spurs embarrassed again, beaten again, dismantled again by Liverpool this time. Yes, the scoreline sort of flat as Spurs. They had a good 2 or 3 minute spell in the 70th minute periods of the game and got themselves back into it kind of by scoring 2 goals. But let us not get it twisted. This was a beatdown. This was an embarrassment. This is their 4th defeat in a row. In the title race in October, in the top 4 race by around about February, that is now over as things stand. And if the rot doesn't stop, they could end up 6th. They could even end up in 7th place if they don't fix this soon. We will get on to Liverpool and the quality that they possessed. But this Spurs team is not running hard enough. There's no real energy out there. Yes, they showed some fight when they got a goal back, but it shouldn't take getting a goal back at 4-0 down to inspire these players. Something is not quite right at this particular moment in time, whether it's they've checked out, whether they feel they're on the beach. But their season, genuinely, their season is at risk of completely and utterly falling apart. 5th place, I still think, is an acceptable place for them to end up. I still think 5th place is an acceptable finish when you look at every single element of Tottenham. But if they start coming 6th, if they dare in the next 3 games manage to drop as low as 7th, they won't go below Man United, who are currently in 8th, in my opinion, because I don't see where the wins come from Man United right now. I'd love that not to be the case. But Newcastle in great form. Chelsea in great form. They can barely score. They can't keep goals out. They are weak from set pieces. The fight has gone from this Tottenham team. And if they end up in 6th, if they end up in 7th, not only would they be the first team ever after 10 games to accumulate that amount of points and to not make it, not be in the title race, not be in the top 4, they may not even qualify for the 2nd tier European competition as well. It is absolutely embarrassing what is happening to Tottenham at the end of this season. This collapse, this fizzling out is absolutely horrendous. And I don't want to take things away from Liverpool. I thought Mo Salah was excellent today. Young Harvey Elliott, yes, the goal was standout. It was magnificent, beautiful, amazing. But his overarching performance was majestic. It truly was. Defensively, up until those 2 goals went in when I thought Liverpool became a little bit lackluster, it was a really solid display for the large part from Liverpool. And it was a convincing performance, an absolutely dominant win for them. And they were very, very good. I'm not going to take that away from them at all. But Spurs were absolutely dreadful. They were dreadful from the first minute until essentially the last minute. You could defend them a little bit when it comes to, they had that little fight back as an example, and they made a little bit of a game of it. But outside of that, they were so poor. And I want to digest with you. I want to get your views and I want to get your opinions on why you think that is. Why do you think it's collapsed in such a dramatic way? I was told by a Spurs fan at the beginning of the weekend, just food for thought, that he has been told by people close to the club that a lot of players are losing faith in Ange Postecoglou. Could that be the reason why there has been this huge sink, this huge collapse at the end of the campaign? I want to understand it. I know they need better players. I know they need to improve this squad. I know overall they're not good enough. I completely concur and I completely understand and I get where it is that people are coming from. But what's happening to Spurs right now isn't normal, is it? It isn't normal to be as good as they were and fizzle out in this way. I want to get your views and I want to get your opinions on that in the comment section below. They think that 5-minute spell when the damage is done is enough to actually earn a wage. Pathetic group. They don't even care in the slightest. And I think it's a very, very a very, very good super chat. It says a very, very clear but sorrow, a message that's clear and correct, but full of sorrow is how I would break that down. Because there was a 5-minute spell where they looked good. And Richarlison came on and he had a bit between his teeth and those balls over the top were causing damage. Some Spurs fans will be sucked into that. We're going to be okay. Look at those moments. If you go back and look at the Arsenal game, outside the opening 10 to 15 minutes, if you watch the Chelsea game, which 2-0 flatters Spurs, absolutely second best. Newcastle, absolutely second best. Today, you came third in a 2-horse race today. That is how bad it was. So I congratulate you, Cal, for actually calling out your club today, because this slump, this collapse, I don't care about year one. It's unacceptable and it should be criticized. It has to be. Better than Arsenal. Yeah, okay. Big up, Terry. Well, this is something that again, none of the, and this is the one thing about underlying stats. They play a part in football. I think they tell away part of the story, but they can't predict what's happened. And the one thing I would say, just a lot of Spurs fans out there, and this may come across as a dig, but I've got to speak honestly. When rivals, I know some people do it in a banterous, salty type of way, but when people say Spursy, or yeah, the stats look good, but I'm not convinced by Spurs because of what they consistently do, there's a reason for that. There may not be something tangible that you can attach to it, but it's same old Spurs. Now, I don't think Big Ange should be sacked. I think he should be backed in the summer. I think he's more than deserves another year. But this collapse needs to be focused upon. What has led to it? Who are the players that are responsible? What could the manager have done different? And the standards need to be set. FYI, Spurs have taken just 34 points out of 75. When's that from? I need to understand when that's from, my friend. Spurs should sack Big Ange. He is stubborn and will fail. I think that's too premature, personally. But viewers, let me know what you think. This super chat says he should be sacked. I don't personally agree with that, but I'd love to ascertain and understand your opinion. How was that not a penalty on Johnson? Gomez kicked him in the head. It's the same as Doku on McAllister. Liverpool would have. Do you know what? I would love to ask that question to sort of the PGMOL. What is and isn't a high boot? The reason you didn't get it is because Brendan Johnson was probably too honest. If Johnson goes down holding his face, because I didn't see it close enough with the replays over here. I'm not too sure where you watched it, my friend. But the replays here, you couldn't see if there was contact. But if Johnson goes down holding his face, I think they might give it because it is a high boot. But again, if a midfielder does that in the middle of the park when a player's trying to head the ball, they give a foul every time. The threshold for a penalty is a little bit higher. But I don't know how much contact was made. But I do understand your point. TFC supporters, or Tottenham, sorry, there's meant to be a H in that, from Jerome, who says Tottenham Hotspur supporters were talking about deciding who won the Premier League, delusional FC, and they don't have their best 11. Yeah, I mean, I know they've got their left back missing at the moment, but outside of that, this is pretty much their strongest team. They're awful right now. Ange gave me Unai Emery at Arsenal vibes now, bottled top 4 and was sacked after 18 games into the next season. Well, if this continues into next season after more investment, then I think there's a very different conversation that needs to be had. I think there's a big problem here with the lack of overarching quality in the squad, players that the manager doesn't want, and he should be given an opportunity. However, this rot cannot continue. If they end up finishing this season 6th or 7th, maybe that changes the outlook, because that would be such a horrendous fall. If you go back, I'm going to do it now on the screen, you'll see it. If we go back to say game week, my apologies. If we go back to like game week 10, top, you can see them there, top, no defeats on 26 points. Where were they by game week 15? I don't know the answer to this. See, they were 5th by then, and that's oh yeah, that was after their bad run. That's the problem. So they've gone from, after 10 games, they're on 26 points. And now where are they after 35 games? Now they're sitting there on 60 points. So they've only marginally doubled. So in the first 10 games, 26 points. They've doubled plus 4. Is it double plus 4? 26. Hang on. They've doubled it. My maths is being terrible. If you double 26, what is it? That'll be 52 plus 8, sorry. So they've just about doubled it plus some. their points tally in the subsequent 25 games after their opening 10. That's not good enough. Really not good enough. Maybe that's what you meant earlier. From their first defeat, they've only picked up 34 points from 75. That is crazy. What does that look like on the form table? I just want to break this down for a second because I'm intrigued by it. I never thought about it. Let's do custom dates here. Let me just change this until like the October period when they hit 10. Sorry, 20, maybe the week before that. So I don't know when that was. When did they play their 10th game? I don't know. It's crazy. I want to see the form table from that point, if that makes sense. The Spurs now, at this point from then to then, have played 28 games. So I've got to take 5, 6, 7. 3 more games have got to come off that point. Sorry, guys. Bear with me a second. I need to get this to 25. Played. Gone. 27 played. Sorry. Bear with me, people. I will do this in a second. I'm trying to work something out. Wow. Yeah. So Spurs are 10th in the league on form since their first defeat. So from their over the last 25 games, they would be 10th in the league table. And listen, Man United are only 2 points better on 36, but look how much we're attacked. Bournemouth 42 points, Chelsea 42 points, Villa 45 points. They're on the same amount of points in the last 25 games as Wolves and Everton. So I know that the season isn't broken down like that because you can't take away that brilliant start to the season. But since their opening defeat, they're a mid-table team. That needs to improve massively next year. That's crazy. I'd still give him time, though. Thank you here to Pav, an amazing donation. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate that. He says here, Spurs fans need to get up and understand the dangerous situation they are in. At this rate, Spurs won't win their next 3 matches. Chelsea and Newcastle have winnable fixtures. Even Man United can lose to Arsenal and win their remaining. Listen, look, if Newcastle, Man United, and Chelsea, all 3 of them finish ahead of Ange from this point, and Spurs, then I think he should be sacked. If you can't finish above all 3, by the way, all 3 of those teams have been awful for big chunks of this season. For you to end up finishing behind them, I would say that's sackable if that was to happen. Rivals also say we need Champions League, like these owners care about anything other than the cash and not backing the coach. They have no clue what they are on about. I get that, but I think your players and managers should want it. Terry, I said it either after the Chelsea game. It looks like Spurs have lost confidence in Ange and his system. You can't play so bad after that good start. Look, I think there's multiple factors here. I don't think it's one thing. The players do look exhausted. Maybe they've been running to the ground this year. Maybe they started off with too much power, too much pace, too much energy being used in those early fixtures, and they've just fizzled out. They haven't had cup runs. They haven't been in Europe. A lot of professional players say they actually prefer 2 games a week. It actually helps with your fitness. But let us know what you think. Spurs risking top 6, top 7. They certainly are. They're definitely risking it. Sully here says, Spurs, in my opinion, have a good season. Ange's first season, United should be the topic, the biggest club in England, accepting these low standards. Look, Man United are not the subject today, though. We didn't play. And Man United have certainly had a horrible league campaign. Let's see how the season finishes. We are in an FA Cup final, which Spurs cannot boast. But this is about Tottenham. And it doesn't matter how bad Man United's season is, in reality. For banter, yes, it does. But Spurs' criticism is still valid, no matter how bad Manchester United are. And let's not pretend like the Football Terrace has not, as a collective channel, has not called out Man United on multiple streams. But this is not about Manchester United. This is about Tottenham and, of course, Liverpool. Post their first 10. Okay, there we go. I got your tweet there. Your message, sorry. That wasn't a penalty. Gomez got the ball. No, I listen. Winning the ball doesn't make it not a foul if you connect with somebody. But it wasn't a foul. I'm not that bothered about it. I don't think Brendan Johnson does get caught and then holds his head. It might have changed things, but yeah, it's not a penalty. At 60 points, currently 3rd worst Premier League tally since 2009. Wow. See, these. I mean, I'm not someone that totally believes in points totals, but I do say they are a barometer. That's a mad statistic. Show more commitment here than most of my exes. Look at that, 46 months as a member. That's amazing. So thank you very much, David. I've seen you on many streams recently, but thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that, brother. Why the collapse? Deji upset the football gods by speaking evil on Arsenal. One of our little London bros spanked our other little bro today. Come on, Fulham. Hey, look, I can't put my finger on exactly what the collapse is about, but it has got to do with the tactics. It has got to do with the lack of quality in certain areas of this Tottenham team. And I do think it's got to do with the tactical approach of the manager. I think he's burnt the players out too early in the season. We saw Arsenal Arsenal were better last season, but very similar last year. Started off too much power. When I say too much power, playing with too much power, using too much energy. You see fighters do it sometimes. They go out in the first 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of a boxing fight. They go for the kill. They don't knock someone out, and then they flag. Some fighters get stronger over the course of a 12-round fight. Spurs are the other way. Please tell me Will is coming on today. I need a statistical analysis of Spurs and why they are still better than Arsenal. We only deal in facts. I'm not too sure who's coming on, actually. KJ filtered that out. Mad that Chelsea can finish above Spurs. Yeah, it would be utterly horrendous for that to happen to Tottenham, especially with the rivalry between the two clubs. Imagine actually having a worse season than Chelsea after everything Chelsea have been through. It's crazy. Husam, Mo, young Daniel about to join us on the show. I'm sure more people are going to call through soon. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're well. I've got to go to young Daniel first because this collapse is becoming embarrassing. You're at risk of you're not making Champions League, but you may not even make the Europa League. Newcastle and Chelsea are hunting you down. What's going wrong at your club right now that led to such an embarrassing defeat today?
Where it comes to where we're gonna finish at the end of the league, at the end of the season, I think we deserve Europa League. I don't think we've played it well enough to deserve Champions League, and Aston Villa have, so they deserve it over us. And I'm happy to be in the Europa League next season. I think that's where we should be in terms of our performances. In terms of this game by itself, I think Ange Postecoglou made mistakes. Ange Postecoglou. If you look at that midfield, when I saw a starting lineup before the game, I knew we weren't gonna win this game. We need some type of creativity in this team. We went with Pape Mate Sarr, Bissouma, and Bentancur. I like all 3 of them, and I think they're great midfielders. But you need some type of creativity in that team. Nothing. As soon as we brought on Maddison, as soon as we brought on Lo Celso, we started creating way more chances, and we got right back into the game. Richarlison's another one. I think we were calling out for Richarlison at halftime. You had to realize that Son wasn't doing anything, and our wingers weren't going to do anything. It was time for a change. It was time to bring on Richarlison, put Son on the wing. I think he did it. He did that well, but he did it way too late. You could acknowledge that should have been done at halftime. So I completely back Ange Postecoglou, but today in particular, he made way too many mistakes. And at the end of the day, that's what cost us our game. When it comes to Emerson Royal, I don't know what to say about this guy. Last season, I went on way too many rants about this guy, and I thought finally when we brought in Pedro Porro, I wouldn't have to say nothing about him again. No, now we're seeing him from the left. Mo Salah took him on an absolute vacation today. I don't know what he was doing on that first goal. He didn't even turn around to look at him. He just expects, oh yeah, he's just going to stay back there. No, that's not how you defend. That's not how you defend. He loses his man, and that's 1-0. I actually believe if we had somebody more competent than Emerson Royal, it would have been a lot closer of a game today. But yeah, at the end of the day, we didn't deserve to win this game, and the final score shows the performance that we put in.
I understand that for today's game, but it's 4 defeats on the bounce now, and you've been outclassed in all those games. You're dropping like a stone. What do you put this down to, young Daniel? Also, since your first defeat of the season, your form in that point puts you 10th in the league table. You've actually been awful, really, for the better part of 25 games now, based on the opening standard that you set. Why do you think Spurs have collapsed so much overall? What's going wrong at your club?
Well, I mean, we've fallen off. We've fallen off completely. And I think a lot of it does have to do with a lot of Tottenham fans are not going to like that I'm going to say this, but new manager bounce, beginning of the season. The hype that was building around our club, it was a lot of hype. I bought into it as well a little bit. We've been brought down back to earth, and this is the team right now. This is the level of the team right now. We have to improve in the summer. This is the team. This is the level of the players that we have on the pitch, and we have no squad depth. A few players go out injured, and we bring in bums like Emerson Royal. We bring in bums like Ben Davies. We bring in the beginning of the season, we're bringing on bums like Eric Dyer, and at the end of the day, that's what cost us a lot of points. But that's not an excuse, because also the players that start in the starting 11 are also been costing us points. So at the end of the day, summer we just go in and we rebuild, not rebuild completely, but some players have to go, some players have to come in, and we change up everything. And I think next season we'll be seeing a lot better Tottenham Hotspur than we've seen at the end of the season.
Would you put any of this on your manager's system? Do you think Big Ange has been found out? Do you think the way you play has been exposed now for the past, at least the last 5 or 6 games, but overall by Premier League managers and coaches? Do you think he's been found out?
I don't think he's been found out. Like, I think definitely teams have been more adjusted to the way that we play. Teams have been able to find out, okay, in the beginning of the season, they didn't know what they were going to expect. And now they kind of know what to expect. Okay, he's going to have a high line. Maybe we could break past the high line. But I don't think it's broken because we still see Tottenham have possession. In the first half, we had a lot of possession. But the problem is that we're not doing nothing with it. Our wingers aren't doing anything. We're playing outside the box a lot, but when nobody has the balls to take the ball and break the line, go into the box. Bissouma, I don't know what's happened to him. First 10 games of the season, the guy wanted to break every single line in front of him. You break past midfield. Now he's like scared to do it. He's scared to do it now. And I think, yes, it does have to do partially that teams have figured out the way that we play and they're more like used to it and stuff. But I don't think it has to do completely. I think if we get like competent wingers that have the ball to go into the box, to have the ball to cut inside, to challenge fullbacks, I think we would be seeing a lot better position at the end of the season than we are right now. I don't think it has to do with teams.
What's interesting about players is this, and you learn this in life, whether it's about sport, business, school, whatever it may be, is it's hard work being good. Whatever you're good at in life, it's very hard to be good at something. You may have natural talent, but when you have to work your backside off to play as well as Bissouma did at the beginning of the season. I'm using him as an example. So you have to work hard your whole life to get to that level. And then you have to work your backside off in training all week. And you have to work your backside off during games all day, for the whole 90 minutes to perform at that level. The hardest part is continuing to work at that rate. And you see that through every aspect of professional life, because most people have the competency to do good jobs in most professions. But what the vast majority lack is the stomach or the literal stamina. There's a lot of it's stamina of the mind to continue pushing themselves to that level because it's hard work. And I feel like some of your players, and Bissouma may be a standout example, I think he's happy to be a really good player where the expectation is low in mid-table. But when the expectation is you've got to be a 7.5, 8 out of 10 every single week, I don't know if he has the stomach and mentality to be that. He's got the talent to be that good because we've seen it. But the consistency for me stems more from your mentality and your physical attributes than it does your ability. And I think some of your players lack the stomach to maintain high standards.
I agree with
but
you.
Why when I was saying that at the start of the season, I was laughed at? That's the thing that I just don't get. Everything Dan just said, I was saying, calm down, Dan, because this football lesson for you. Everything Dan just said, I was saying in August, September, October, November. Why do people, sometimes Dan was living the moment. He was very happy the way Spurs were playing, but we called all this shit. I think the fact that Dan is coming here talking about Emerson Royal is laughable, to be honest with you, because your best players are the ones underperforming. Son got pocketed by Trent today. Why don't you talk about that? Kulusevski was anonymous and got 1 second. Kulusevski was anonymous. Our midfield was really open. Actually, not Kulusevski. I take that back. I actually think he was your best player, to be fair. But anyway, your midfield was dead as well. Your midfield was dead. Even our midfield, the only time that really your midfield started showing up was when we took off both Endo and McAllister, who were the only really defensive type of players that we had, to be honest with you. So everything that we tell you guys in August, you come back and you say the same stuff, in May when it's all said and done. This game was looked at by you as a game that could decide the title for Tottenham Hotspur. Where you were one of the people at the start of the season that were saying Spurs could win the league. The reality is, even the scoreline flatters you, because this could have been, you could have lost, to be honest with you, could have been 6-0, 7-0. I mean, Mo Salah had an embarrassing miss, to be honest with you. Nunez missed chances, as per usual, the usual suspects. So you were lucky that it even ended 4-2. This could have been 7 or 8, to be honest with you. And when you say Ange hasn't been found out, they've just adjusted to it. Ange has definitely been found out. And the same, you have to keep the same energy. If when you're on top of the world, you want to say all that wild shit about your manager, now that it's fallen off, why don't you keep the same energy instead of saying stuff like, oh yeah, the teams have just adjusted to us. At the end of the day, there's no difference between Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers. There's no difference between Ange Postecoglou and Roberto Di Zerbi. Actually, Di Zerbi is doing it with much worse players. Chelsea in a crisis are 6 points behind Tottenham Hotspur. Chelsea, that 3/4 of their fan base come here and go like, "Poch out, get him out of my club." They're only 6 points behind manager of the season, Ange Postecoglou, with an average age of 13. Like, Dan, you're older than some of the Chelsea players, and there's only 6 points behind you. You know how embarrassing that is? I just want to give a shout, just to unpack it a little bit, before we continue the Spurs thing. Mo Salah becomes the first player, Premier League history, 3 years consecutively, 10 goals, 10 assists. That's why I won't sell him, despite of the miss today. I'm never going to sell that guy before I sell the others. Darwin Núñez is the only guy that can come on for 10 minutes and raise your blood pressure unnecessarily. That guy there's no difference between signing him and signing Usain Bolt. I'm not even going to say anything about that guy. Just run fast and born offside as well. So, I was actually happy with everyone's performance today. I thought Kwanzaa had a good game. Liverpool played really well. But from a Spurs perspective, next time Spurs do really well, and I call them imposters, don't call me obsessed. Don't say I have an agenda against Spurs. No, they are imposters. And if Spurs finish outside the Europa League, of what Terry was saying, and they finish in Conference League positions, then there's going to be extremely uncomfortable conversations about this manager and this team and these players. Is Maddison still better than Odegaard? Is Van de Ven still the signing of the season? Is Porro still the best right back? Who told you all that Vicario is the Simon Mignolet of this league? Who said it? Who said it first? Who came on this channel specifically and said Vicario, there's no difference between him and Simon Mignolet at Sunderland? That header from Mo Salah, Mo could have saved it. Mo from the panel could have saved it. He could have saved it if he was the Spurs goalkeeper. This guy, being a good goalkeeper does not mean you concede 10 shots and you save 7 of them. That's not called being a good goalkeeper. Being a good goalkeeper has nothing to do with just saving a big percentage of the shots that's aimed at you. They give credit to are now crap, and Daniel wants to come in here and talk about Emerson Royal. We all know Royal is crap anyway. Why did you talk about Son? Why didn't you talk about Maddison? Why didn't you talk about Bissouma? Why didn't you talk about Sarr? Talk about Van de Ven. Talk about the actual Vicario. Talk to us about Vicario. Tell me your thoughts on the Vicario.
Van de Ven for me, I think he was good. You're right. I didn't talk about Vicario, but every other point that you brought up,
I mentioned him instead of Royal. We all know Royal's crap anyway.
I talked about Bissouma. I talked about our midfield being run through. I talked about Son. What are you talking about? I added Royal. You're saying that
Dan, I think what he's saying is you kind of spoke about these players, but not in the way you went after Royal about, if he weren't left back, stuff like that. So you dug him out more. Then you mentioned other names that they didn't play well, but then you actually had a go at Emerson Royal. When we all know, whether it's whoever comes in that left back position is a problem for us because they're just not good enough. So I think it's because you went after Royal rather than the others. Let's be honest, Bissouma's been horrendous for weeks. Shouldn't be in the team, but somehow keeps getting back into it. You're saying, look, with Spurs at the moment, against Arsenal, against Liverpool at times, and against Chelsea, we won the ball so high up, but we are so slow in reacting or doing anything attacking-wise. Teams can get back. Wingers that won't take on their man, won't cut inside. It's absolutely awful from Spurs. I got told, Terry, do you remember when we beat Villa 4-0? I said, okay, we beat Villa 4-0, but there's problems there. If we don't iron it out with the running we've got, we can suffer defeat after defeat after defeat. I got told by everyone on here, you're waffling, you're this, you're that, Alan, you're negative and all that. I was like, okay, we play better against the big teams. Well, we've come up against the big teams at the end of the season, and we've been absolutely smashed by every single one, including Newcastle, who have been in problem after problem, injury after injury. We've also got to go and play Man City at home, where people write, please lose so Arsenal don't win a title. Have some shame. Come on. No, we've been awful
you want to
for
win
some
that?
time, and we've papered over the cracks. We're coming back against Forest earlier in the season away to Everton. We should have won that, but problem after problem, long ball, we couldn't defend against. We got caught out. We lost points on that. And again, this is why I never signed on to the we're winning the league in October thing that everyone was twerking for earlier on in the season. We've got a long way to go. This project or whatever it is under Ange isn't going to get sorted in one season. It's going to take some time. But you can call out poor tactics, the way you set up a team and everything like that in each individual game. Let's look about the midfield three he chose today. Sarr, energy, got stuck in, fantastic. But he also made mistakes because he's immature on the ball and he gave away the ball a lot. Bissouma, who's been missing, we were pretty much playing with 10 men like we have in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And then Bentancur, who, again, too slow in bringing the ball out, getting caught on the ball. So you're bringing in 3 defensive midfielders, not one attacking, to try and shore up the defence. Yet you play the exact same way, trying to keep hold of the ball, keep putting the ball, keep players too high up. And again, that back line with no protection gets absolutely run right. And whether you have an attacking player or not, at one point, there was 16 shots in the league in the game. The 15 previous to the one Spurs had was all Liverpool. And at one point, we had, 57% possession. We had one shot, none on target. Liverpool had far less passes, less possession, and had 8 shots and 3 on target, 2 goals. This is the thing we're talking about. It will take time to build a squad, to build a team. But when we have a bit of mild success or 10 games where we go unbeaten, can we not start going, oh, this, that, and the other about Spurs? Can we just relax and give it time to build? Because
Gary, can I give credit
the reason
to
why fans are coming after us is because everyone was saying we're winning the league in October.
I want to give credit to Alan. I really do. Because first of all, big up to Alan, who's been here, win, lose, or draw. I want to ask, where are all the Spurs fans from the start of the season? Because Spurs match reaction used to have, there was like 15 people on this panel. And they were all sat here just, wanking off all the Spurs players. Suddenly, they're all gone. Gone. No one's here. Poor Alan is here when he actually called this realistically from August. He's the one here who has to take the shit for what the other crazy people said, not him. Everything that's been said about these Spurs players, when Alan was telling people, calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down, they didn't listen. And they were saying all that wild shit. And now we have people coming on in May blaming Royale why they lost the game. Bro, talk about your manager. Talk about your midfield. Talk about your center back.
Why we lost the game.
No. Let me handle this then. First of all, Alan is not the only one that's here. Dan is here as well. And I'm not gonna lie, I got sick of what I was hearing about Dan when I was watching this. The agenda is crazy. First of all, we all know that Dan is young. He says crazy shit. We cook him for it throughout the season. And fair enough. The reason Alan doesn't say what Dan says is because Alan is about twice his age. So I expect Alan to be a lot more mature than Dan. The thing that Dan did today is he held corn. He actually spoke a lot of shit in the beginning of the season. He's held corn and he's here to hold it. And I respect that. When he comes out and speaks about Emerson Royale, it's because Emerson Royale literally directed to 2 goals conceded. The one where he didn't mark Salah and the one where he got the ball, turned, lost the ball, and then they ended up scoring. Literally 2 out of the 4 goals was his job. So when Dan sits here and says Emerson Royale did this, and that, he is actually right. Because there was 2 goals that came from him. 2 out of the 4. You're responsible for 50% of the goals that were conceded against you today. So I don't see what he's doing wrong with that. Secondly, I'm so tired of this. Ange this, Ange that. Okay, let's talk about Ange. But then you blame all the players. How could you say it's the system, the players, that the manager's been found out, and then every player you criticized? How can it be both? I cannot understand how you can say, let's talk about Ange, but then all the players, yes, they were crap. It doesn't go along. One of them has to be right and one of them has to be wrong. If the system is shit and the players are good, you're like, you know what? Shame on the manager. But if the manager is actually giving you phases in the game, every game, where you're holding possession, you're building up well from the back, you're getting in the final third into scoring opportunities, and your players are not finishing it, which shows you have a lack of quality, how can I blame the manager? When you look at the defending today, one second, Terry, when you look at the goals that were being conceded today, a lot of them, none of them, by the way, were from the high line. This is why every time we talk about the system, it hasn't been a high line. The last time they conceded from a high line, aka a counterattack, which, by the way, it happens to all of our teams, was against Arsenal. And it was one of the 3 goals. Against against Chelsea. Both of them were set pieces. The other 2 against Arsenal were two set pieces. And today it was from the lack of box defending. When you look at every ball that's being crossed, no one is getting on the end of it. Even the one that Salah missed, no one was there to clear that. So there's a clear issue in the back line when it comes to box defending. How can I blame the system, but none of the goals were from that system?
But hang on a minute, though. I will go to Alan. What I want to say, Staffy, is this. It can be both. You can have a problem with quality in the squad and elements of the manager's system. A manager's system isn't just about the patterns of play when you have possession. The manager's system is about how you defend set pieces. It's how you defend crosses. It's the manager's system and his tactics. Why are Liverpool and Chelsea and Arsenal and Newcastle players in the last 4 games being given so much time on the ball without being pressed? All of these things are part of a system, not just having a higher line and having good patterns of play when you're in possession. The whole thing is under the manager's control. Whether he has set piece coaches, defensive coaches, it doesn't really matter. He is the manager and he is in charge of all of that. I agree with you, Staffy, that this is not all on Big Ange, but I think it would be naive for us to sit here and go, elements of his style haven't been found out. Equally, he does need backing and this squad to be improved and better quality players overall. But this idea that it's either a crap manager with a good squad or a crap squad and an amazing manager, I think it's too polarized in either direction. I don't know what like Alan, as a Spurs fan, how do you feel about that?
No, look, I get what Staffy's trying to say, because people like that. This is why I blame Ange and the way he sets Spurs out, and also the way the players are playing as well. It's everyone. It's not just one or the other, like Spurs fans like to do. It's not polarizing like that. But you're saying about the last time we conceded a long ball goal was against Arsenal. That wasn't 10 games ago. That was literally 1 weekend ago, 2 games ago. Before that, Newcastle, 2 goals of theirs.
1 in 3 games, Alan. That's my point.
Let me
1 in
finish.
3.
Listen, no, let me finish. I'll let you finish. 2 goals for Newcastle was over the ball. Everton repeated numerous balls over the top when we drew away for 2-2. When we got whooped by Fulham, balls over the top caused problems, conceding, I think, definitely 1 from it, and 1 was like then the second phase of play because we didn't get back in time. There's been loads of cases where this has happened. Also, set pieces. Since it's been found out against the Man City game away in the FA Cup, teams know that we defend zonal from the front and people get a run on us. You got Arsenal taking 2 goals against us. Set pieces defending as well. It's been really poor. Continual goals keep happening. Now, you can say players individually are making errors, but then when you look and say, hold on, the same kind of goals happening, long balls over the top, set piece goals, corners where we're doing the same marking, that goes down to the manager and tactics. Both are happening. It's not just one, it's not just the other. You can call out most of them people. Son, until he got moved to the left wing when Richarlison came on, Son might as well not have been on the pitch. Kulusevski and Brent Johnson on the wing, hit and miss, not really great. Our midfield 3, was, apart from Sarr from time to time, was not there. Players need to be held accountable. And this is what loads of Spurs fans I see are calling for Ange's head. Oh, loads of people have lost faith in Ange for that. But most of the people that have lost faith in Ange are the players that are not good enough for this club. So I'd rather get them out in the summer, bin the shit, and start again and see if you can build a new team with a better mentality than the complete and utter trash we got in sitting on the bench who are complaining or whining, not getting game or not being good enough. If that includes the likes of Maddison, who's not good enough, Lo Celso who's not good enough, whoever else it may be, get him out. I'd rather start fresh with a new squad moving forward than the same old people negative, put down tools against Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, now doing it with Ange. Get them out and start again. But all of them are held accountable for each individual mistake they're making, plus the manager for his tactics, and not differentiating, not changing to suit a game that's happening on the pitch. You got to change.
I hear that. I think it's a really good chat. Alan, not Alan, sorry. Mr. Box Office TV is here. How are you, mate? Talk to us about your team Spurs today.
Well, firstly, Husam said that Alan was the only one that was sticking up because, by the way, that when Tottenham were doing well, he was the only one that was being real. Well, I was being real as well, just because I was on the football terrace. If you watch Mr. Box Office TV, you watch it and see it for yourself. And I've said it on lots of other streams as well, where one Tottenham fan called me a scum. Yeah, there's a lot of people call me lots of things because I don't like Ange Postecoglou. So that's a fact, and Alan knows this as well. So being on his channel as well, with all the flack I've got from his channel as well. So that's a thing as well. Secondly, Alan, people saying Ange out, let them. Yeah, this is what I said in June. Yeah, and this is why I said it's similar to the Arsenal situation with Arteta. Yeah, when Arsenal said Arteta out, what did they do? They stuck with their manager. They stuck with him. Yeah, look at them right now. Yeah, Tottenham have to go through that. The board have got to stick with Ange Postecoglou right now. What I'm asking for the board right now, just put a statement out and say we back Ange Postecoglou right now. Just put a statement out. But at the moment they're not doing it. So this is why I can't back something I don't even know they'd back as well, and that's it. Right. So, but you know what I said anyway. We know my feelings on the situation. That's it. But on the game today, the thing that annoyed me today, when we saw Emerson Royale, who I said was bang average, just take him off. You got Dragusin on the bench, put Van de Ven on the left, and put Dragusin on. He doesn't do it. He does it after 3-0. Yeah. Now I can take the losing because the season's over. I don't care about Champions League, but it's just that situation just annoyed me. You know what I mean? Because he was just getting rinsed. He was just getting absolutely rinsed. Yeah, I know our players are not good enough, and I understand. Ange told us in June. He told us in June that he's going to stick with his plan. I'm fine with that. Even though I don't like him, He said it. He told us in June. I can't have a go at him for that. That's it. Simple. Yeah. But it was just that little thing, and you can see Liverpool were just doing it. And even Skip, we just put Skip on, do something, because he's not good enough. He's got to go in the summer, and that was it. But that was the only thing that got on my nerves. You know what I mean?
Do you think the players are down tools?
Yeah, I think
the reason why I'm saying that, and I'm not going to take long because you're a Spurs fan, but the talent is undeniable in Maddison, in Bissouma, in some of the players, and Sarr. But I don't think they are given everything. Even Romero's body language look different now, as they are not buying into this project, or they are frustrated with their teammates, or they're frustrated with the manager. That combination together is not going to work. Something has to happen. Something big has to happen, because you cannot go next season with a player down tools from the beginning of the season.
This is the culture of our club. This is the
this is it.
This is the culture.
I didn't believe that. This is, I got the word. I didn't believe it.
But Mo, let me just make my point. Let me make my point. This is why I can't back this at the moment. Yeah, right. When you've had a culture of sacking managers after sacking managers after sacking managers after sacking managers, right? And we've not stuck with the manager through bad times, like Arsenal with Arteta, Liverpool with Klopp, right? What is going to be the culture? Okay, so we've had a good start. You see, now we've had a bit of a wobble. Now you're seeing what's going on at the moment. Now, for me, this is just the process, right?
What do you mean?
Now,
what does that mean, the process?
Well, the process is that, you know, I don't really know what the process
struggling,
is. But the point I'm making is, let me just say my point. My point is that when you see with what Newcastle at the moment, they've got a process in place of saying this is where we want to aim to, and what at the end of it, we're going to see this is what we want to end up with at the moment. Yeah, at the moment with Tottenham, I don't know what the end goal is. At the moment, they haven't given me the own goal. They've said, "Yeah, we want to play great football." Great, okay, but what else do you want to do with Ange? At least Ange, for me, at the moment, he's telling us here where he wants to go to. He wants to win the league. That's it. Whether you think he's deluded or not, that's not the point. The point is, he knows what he wants to do. Where he wants to end up is winning something, winning the league or winning something. Right, but I don't know what the end goal for our owners is at the moment. You see what I'm saying? No. And that, unfortunately,
the end goal is 5 NFL matches a season, 15 concerts a season, and a couple of boxing events. That's about
it. So that's the thing. I don't know what the end goal is.
No, I understand that.
And that's why I think at the end of the year next year, Ange will walk. Because he wants to win.
This is the thing. Where I agree is this. I think Ange and elements of his system and the way he sets up should be criticised. But I don't think throwing baby out with the bathwater, he's a complete fraud, he's got to go, is the right answer either. So I see where Staffy's coming from. I see where Alan and Husam, I think everybody's making a point here. I just feel, and maybe fan media has been part of this problem. It's whenever we get onto a manager conversation, it's almost like people have, excuse me for saying this in front of a young lady like Kate and a young man like Dan, but people have premature ejaculation. It's always straight to manager in, manager out, as opposed to you can just criticize and leave it at criticism. There doesn't need to be something that comes after that criticism. The world is so polarized on everything, and I think it's crazy for anybody to be calling for Ange to be sacked right now. However, if I did say on my opening monologue, if Man United, Newcastle, and Chelsea all finish above them, maybe then there has to be a conversation, because if that was to happen, that's beyond embarrassing. But it won't happen. I threw it out there to the chat.
Even if that happens, I think we should still back Ange.
Maybe. Kate, what's happened? You've not been on the show for a few weeks. I know you've been a busy lady, and you've lost all 4 games.
I wonder if there's a correlation. Just saying.
It might be, or it might just be that we've shown that we're actually not as good as everybody bigged us up to be. I think a lot of this meltdown and the way the fan base is, that Ange is kind of a victim of his own early success when we were sitting there top of the table and people were having an absolute meltdown saying we're going to win the league and we've got a better team than Arsenal. Dan, I'm looking at you when I say that. This sort of thing. And I think that is why the meltdown is so epic. all I hear every day is Ange has got to change this, Ange has got to change that. And I have to keep saying he's not going to change, right? He isn't going to change. I'm not overly happy. I went to the North London derby last week. The first half was a disgrace. Chelsea was an absolute disgrace. Today was a disgrace. There's one thing losing a game, but there's losing a game without showing any sort of fight. And you know, for these fans that thought we could compete with the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, we're miles off it. And I think where we sit in 5th place is actually false position. It's only because so many other teams have been so crap this year that we're sitting where we are. I don't really know what to say. I think it's too early to say Ange out, but I have my concerns because he puts out a same team that played like they did against Chelsea last week. And for me, that's just bonkers. So you have to sort of ask these questions. But like I say, it's too early to sort of jump on and say, I mean, if we go and sack Ange, who the hell are we going to bring in? We're going through managers like I go through Knickers. Do you know what I mean? We're running out of options.
It's actually mental for anyone that says Ange.
You're running.
I think
hang on a minute.
it's
you're running out of. Send Jim to the shops if you're running out, Kate. Jesus Christ! Bloody hell!
Well, we can't just, to be fair, we can't just stick a manager in the wash and then wear them the next day. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, what I'm trying to say is we change our managers. Good to know. You know,
can I say something? Can I say something to Kate? Kate, last season you had Conte come out. Was it last season? I don't remember, honestly. Last season he came out and he exposed the club for the players that they have, the mentality of the players and all that stuff. And most of you guys agreed and you said this is a cultural issue. You bring in Ange, who is footballing wise is polar opposite of what Conte is in terms of styles, okay? But he also said one thing, which is the quality of the players. So you have 2 managers from 2 different schools, 2 different philosophies, 2 different personalities, 2 different everything, and they agreed on one thing: the mentality and the quality of the players. How is it that Spurs, and this is why I have an issue with this with Spurs fans? Yes, I understand complaining about the high line and all that stuff. But you went from a style of football the past 3 years, which is just defensive, and you guys used to complain about it, especially against the smaller teams. Now that you're playing big boy football, which is attacking and possession based, and I'll tell you what, go ask City how many counterattacks they concede and how many transition goals they concede. Go ask I wouldn't say Arsenal because this season they've been good, but ask them last season. Go ask Liverpool the same thing. All these big teams that keep the ball all suffer from one thing, which is counterattack. Now, some of them suffer from it more than others. But the fact that Ange came in and he changed the style of play and he actually showed you a lot of improvements in your build-up and in the midfield and in the final third, and it clearly shows the lack of personnel that you need because your front line, I'm not going to lie to you, your whole front line stinks. Everyone needs to be sold. The back line has some issues in it. Even, listen, and I get asked about Bissouma a lot. Bissouma needs to get sold in the summer because the way this guy performed in the beginning of the season, how good he was, and the way he's down tools. Even Maddison, who started the season amazing, and then he showed why he's been a Leicester player for so long and why they got relegated, because towards the second half of the season, he just stopped playing football. When the manager has given you a system that is so good that exposed all these individuals, and people want to call out the manager, who's completely opposite than Conte and Mourinho, who also got called out, instead of calling out the ownership and the players, is insane to me. Because I'll tell you this, and I know Terry said he can't just do that. But Ange, if he's a serious guy, which he looks like he's a serious guy from some of the stuff that he said, if he doesn't properly get back in the summer, and this club is just focused on Rihanna concerts and boxing events and NFL events and all that stuff, then I'm sorry, this is not the culture for you. Because LVG suffered from the same thing at United. He was more serious about football than a commercial club, and he suffered from it, and then he exposed the club later. I would walk out if I was him, because he's exposed everything that Spurs fans need to see. And anyone, I legitimately mean this, and stop comparing this to Ten Hag, because it couldn't be any more different. If anyone is actually calling out, or listen, I ignore this guy on my Twitter, I'm ignoring him here again. So it is what it is. If you are calling out, bro, I'm telling you, this guy's in my mentions every day. If you're calling out the manager instead of calling out the ownership and the backing that he should be getting, I literally might consider that you are not actually, it's either your brain is not functioning well, or you might not be a real fan. You're just doing things on Twitter just for traction. Because there's no way you watch the season and watch the progress that this manager is giving you, at least in the beginning of the season, and where he has you, for people like Kate to say we shouldn't even be there, which in her definition, he's overachieving. To call out the manager, and not the players and the ownership, to me is insane.
So, Staffy, this week, with the poor run of form we've had, we've seen the PR spin. There's a war chest. We hear that coming up towards every summer. There's a war chest.
Always going to happen.
There's also 12, a complete and utter turnaround, 12 people getting out, like a complete clear out. We hear the same thing every time. And when it gets to the summer, these owners always getting one or two of the top signings, and then they don't get out half as many as they want to, or they put loan, or we get loan into buyers or stuff like that. These owners always let down every manager that goes before them. Never give them the right players, never give them the right tools to do the job. And it's a case where if this happens again with Ange, because this is, like you said, a new philosophy, not this summer just gone, not every signing was brilliant. For every Van de Ven, Vicario, and Maddison you got Valiz, you got Phillips, who haven't played or haven't got a chance to that. So it's not been perfect. But if we get to this summer and you go, okay, we've got Bergvall coming in, we're going to give you one more player on loan to buy, and then we're going to get 2 or 3 players out, then most of this fan base should go, hold on, yet again, you're selling another manager short, and we've got to hold them to account. But we never really do.
I think there is less of an excuse for them to do that now. Because I did make a joke about the concerts and WWF and all that kind of stuff. But they actually, but Spurs now financially are in a better place than almost every other club in the league. So they genuinely have a foundation to spend money and strengthen the squad if they really want to.
100%.
I want that. But there's a lot of fans that say we've got to live within our means. We don't want to do what Chelsea, Man City are.
But because of the stadium, your means have increased that much. Because of the stadium, your means.
I want us. Apparently, we've got 400 million to spend. I want us to go out and spend 250, 300 million and buy quality, not quantity. I want 4 top players.
Yes.
This is if Spurs ever do. I want wingers. We should want a number 6. If you're going to play such a high line, you need a top quality number 6 to sit in and help out the 2 centre backs. If you're going to play inverted fullbacks all the time, and then you can say the next one could be trying to improve a right or left back or another midfielder to try like an 8 to carry the ball forward and dictate play more. So I want quality. I don't want to have 6 players come in and everyone go, oh, they may challenge the first team, because that's not how you improve. That's not how you go on to challenge for a title or go to try and win cups down the line. If we do the same thing we do every window, then doesn't matter whichever manager we get. However much I like him, I like Ange. You can criticize, but say I think he's going to do a good job if given the tools. If he doesn't, if we don't back another manager, we might as well just be. Let's see if we can get top 4 and have concerts every season. That's what we might as well be.
I agree. I look at it this way. I still sometimes see too many excuses from Spurs fans from the perspective of, but we're not this or we won't do that. I see Spurs fans and I don't want Champions League because I don't think my owners will take it seriously. Do something about it. Do something about it. And I genuinely mean that. There's a lot of match-going fans who, not all of them, but a lot of them feel that they are the most important fans in football, and they do have a really integral place because half the atmosphere we all get watching it for our TDs is created by those individuals. So they do have an important role, but do something about it. Why are you letting Enoch and co earn that much money, but then not do the right thing for your football club? When my dad said that to me, when I was still paying lots of money into to Man United in terms of 2 season tickets, shirts, etc., he just basically called me out bluntly and just said, son, like, you moan about them, but you're funding this mediocrity, you're funding this nonsense. And I did the whole, but if I do this, and what I realized, because my family just called me out, that when you're chatting shit, you're part of the problem. And that's my only pushback to Spurs. And I understand that if I give up a ticket, someone else will get it. Yeah, but you've done your bit then. For me, there's more support in that action than there is buying all 3 new kits next year. You know what I mean? Using the go-kart in place once a month and spending all that money on tickets and food. I bet the food is mad expensive there after they've done it up as well, by the way. I bet a portion of chips and a burger is probably about 17, 18 quid.
£10.
£10. Fuck my boots. But that's the
But
whole.
it was
that's my
nice.
point. So I look at it
for what? For a burger?
So last time I went to Wembley, in the UK, if you went into a place and got a nice big bit of cod, fish and chips, you're probably looking at about £7-8 for something like that, maybe a little bit more. I was in Wembley about a decade ago, right? And the smallest little fish and chips was like £18.50. So I can't imagine how expensive some of these stadiums are now for the same thing. I want to go to some of these super chats, and we will talk a little bit Liverpool on here as well, I promise. This game was pathetic, unnecessary, high pressure all game. Both teams didn't know how to defend. Footballing logic is absent today. Klopp's game management was crap.
I agree with that. It was a game of basketball.
Fair enough. There we go. Thank you. Dare I say it, Drifty? 28 months as a member, legend. Jonathan here says this isn't found out. It's what everyone was saying would happen after 10 games. Ange plays was using too much energy in the too early with little depth, opposite to Terry's Arsenal theory. Well, I suppose it's the same as my Arsenal theory last year. I do think that's also, there's an element which I just think is physical. They looked, there's a Cockney expression we use, they look shagged out. They look shagged out, those Spurs players.
Earlier on in the season, a lot of Spurs fans were going, one game a week will come strong at the end of the season. Where have we come strong? We've done nothing. We've got even worse. The players look like they can't run. They look dead on the pitch. And it's not, but Spurs fans were saying we can play this high intensity throughout the season because we've only got one game a week. And quite clearly, we can't. Well,
ironically, the season that Arsenal were a little bit like this and they missed out on the top four, they did the whole one game a week thing. Most pro footballers that you hear speak about this prefer 2 games a week. That's why I think 2 games a week is better. I'm listening to the people doing it as opposed to a fan opinion should always be shaped by what the professionals say. You know, if most footballers are like, it's much easier having 2 games a week for physical and mental reasons, fans shouldn't be saying, oh, 1 game a week's better, because that don't add up. It doesn't make sense to me. This is an interesting bit of statistical news. First time Spurs have lost 4 in a row in the Premier League since 2004, 2005. That is a damning stat.
What happened? Where did Spurs finish that season?
That was Martin Yell, so I think that was 5th. I think that was the year was that the year? 5th.
Was that good for Spurs in context?
Yeah, back then it was.
Oh,
no, 2004, 2005. No, you finished 9th that season.
Oh, it was the year before it was 5th.
Yeah, 9th, yeah. On 52 points. Crazy. 60 points to get you 5th now. My word. Anyway, that's end of the season as well. This year, there's a question for the Spurs fans. Is Spurs' top 4 bottle worse than Arsenal's title bottle?
What, of last season?
Yeah.
No, it's not, because the winning the league, they were 8 points clear, and Man City came back and got and won the league with games to go, with games to spare. So I'd still say that. But if we fall back and go out of Europa League football and get to 7th or 8th, then yeah, it would be.
Imagine, how would you feel with Spurs fans? I'll throw this to Kate. How would you feel if you ended up finishing behind Chelsea this season?
Terry, when you're my age, you're just used to being shit. Let me tell you, you just get used to it and you get immune to it. You really do. I know that sounds tragic, but you do. You get immune to it. Nothing hurts anymore. It's just disappointment after disappointment.
Oh, my God. Oh, my word. Oral Campbell here to you, Staffy. He says, guilty people always hiding.
No, I think he's saying that when Husam said Spurs fans stop turning up.
Oh.
There's nothing I'm guilty of, and secondly, I'm always here. I'm here like twice a week.
This here says, Son is a fair weather merchant, good time merchant. The convo on his mental inconsistencies need to be had, and he perhaps needs a move. I think he's got to go. I think he's past his best for you guys.
He should go because then actually for the Levy outers, that's a lot less money that Levy will be making on him.
That's exactly why he's not gonna go. That's exactly why he's not gonna go.
Yeah.
Expressionless here says, yo, Mr. Mizzy. What does Mizzy mean, by the way?
My YouTube channel name.
Yeah, but what does Mizzy mean?
It's just I've had that YouTube name since I was 7 years old. I just got my 2 initials.
I get the D part. D Mizzy. That means Daniel, right? But what does Mizzy? A genuine question as an old man. What does Mizzy mean?
My last name is Medina. I don't know.
There we go. It's just an abbreviation of your last name. I'm not digging you out. I'm genuinely wondering what it stands for.
I've had that name since I was 7.
Yeah. Okay. I get you.
Terry Flowizzy. That should be your nickname.
Not it.
Terry Floozy.
Terry Floozy. T
Floozy. I like that.
That's my rap name. T Floozy.
T Floozy. There you go.
Sometimes I do wish when I started this YouTube game, I made up a fake name or used like an alter ego. Do you get what I mean? It would have been a lot easier.
Like Strasbourg Steve.
Yeah.
I thought that was your first name.
Strasbourg. Yeah. I thought Steve was your surname.
I thought he was born there.
Yeah. This here says, Mr. Mezzi, 2 games left of the season. Now can we have the revised Chelsea, Arsenal starting 11s, please, bro? I just want to see someone here say it.
Okay, this has to be understood. When I say that we get more players into a combined 11, it doesn't mean that I think we're a better team than you. That's what you have to understand. I think individually, in certain players, I think certain players that we have more talent than your certain players. That doesn't mean that we're a better team. We have way worse squad depth. We have way worse chemistry. These players aren't used to playing this system. It's the first year of a process. So just give it time. And the players that I think you overtake us in by a mile. So when it comes to our wingers, you overtake us by a mile. Center backs, give us some time on Mickey van de Ven, but you take us on center backs, you take us by a bit. So that's why I don't think it's that you have a better team that we have a better team than you. I think certain players.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it. He's still doing it even now.
Do you know what's really interesting? The Arsenal Spurs debate. Last season they finished 24 points in front of you. They're currently 24 points. They're currently Arsenal 23 points ahead of you with three games left to go for you. They could actually extend their gap over you over this season.
There's only one Spurs player who starts for Arsenal. Son. That's it. End of discussion.
You do get starts for them. I would say only 2 players, honestly.
Liverpool.
Maybe the goalkeeper.
Yep. No,
they need a menu like.
This here says, live Arsenal, Husam. Tottenham and West Ham are embarrassing. Dusty clubs. My only possible hope is Iwobi. Stop putting so much hope on it, Gunadad. I think the best way to create hope is to ignore it. I'm just thinking here, how about how we can try and finesse the football gods? Ignore it. Don't keep hoping and talking about it, and maybe they'll grant you a wish. Remember, I'm in contact with the football gods. This is football guy is cooking. His name is Husam, but thank you very much.
Or Husam, as I can't remember who said it. Who called him Husam earlier? I was on Mr. Box Office TV. Mr. Box Office TV.
But Spurs only had 10.7. 10.7325 of their first available 11. Where are these returning players can hang with the top 3? Points gap, same as last year. This is very true. Like I said at the beginning of the season, Spurs are a shit club and will forever be a shit club. And you have fools, including Staffy, saying Bissouma was better than Rice.
All right. Can I respond to this? Because I'm pretty sure there's an Arsenal fan. You can't call a shit club if you don't have a European Cup.
But they do. They have the same European. They have a European Cup. They've got 2 of them. They've got a UEFA. They've got a UEFA Cup and a Cup.
That's a current. One of them isn't even qualified by UEFA. When you go on the website, it's not even qualified as a European Cup.
What one's that? What one's that? The Intercity Pairs Cup.
Yeah, that one. It's not even qualified.
That's not. Hang on. That's not
website. It's not even qualified.
No, stop. It's not true. The Intercity Pairs Cup is what became the UEFA Cup, which is now what we call the Europa League. It was just the changing of the name of the trophy, but it's the same trophy. They have, and the Cup Winners' Cup, when they won it, was a massive thing. We can't. This is the reason why X have reached out to me and they want me to be a community notes guy for football, because I can't. This sort of thing. Arsenal have 2 European trophies. It is a fact. We can't lie.
And we have a 3. Try and catch us.
Why did you assume he's an Arsenal fan?
Dan, it must be bedtime, surely, Dan.
Why did you assume he's an Arsenal fan? That's what I'm more concerned about.
I love it.
Well, because when somebody says Spurs are shit, Spurs will always be shit, you can already tell, man. It's either Arsenal or some deluded Chelsea.
No, I'm a Liverpool fan. I called this shit since August.
Okay.
To be fair, everyone's been saying it.
It's so funny, man.
I don't rate Spurs either, and I'm a Newcastle fan.
Okay, but saying that we're going to be shit forever, you can already tell.
I'm more surprised then that you defended the super chat that the guy said Spurs are shit, but not that he called me an idiot. I thought he was going to defend me. He defended Spurs, but not me.
This is Spurs are in a desperate situation, losing to City, risk losing top 6, top 7. This is actually very true. And you think Levy will back and well, this is the thing. It goes from being a good season to a poor season if you keep losing your games now. If you end up this season in 8th or 9th, I'm just throwing those numbers out there. That is an abomination of a season.
Well, the last 3 games, yes, we've got City in there, but you got Sheffield United and you got Sheffield United and who's the other one? Burnley. You would hope that you can take 6 out of the 9. Now, I want all 9 because I'm a Spurs fan. I don't want to see my team lose. Or you'll never see me writing into people to ask them to throw a game or lose a game. But you would hope the other 2 games, because the way we're playing at the moment, City are going to destroy us. Let's be honest. The way City are playing, they're going to destroy us because we're just awful. We're open. But
Alan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Will it not be the most Spurs thing ever?
It would be. I'm going to stop you right there. It is. Of course it is.
On a real, like.
We win City and hand us on the title.
The only saving grace, Alan, is that we play Newcastle and Brighton, and I think Brighton play Villa. So you got a lot of the teams that are in the same mix about to play each other. So that's the only saving grace.
Staffy, I'm looking at you, bro.
Leave me alone, bro. Tomorrow I'm not watching that. I'm watching the Knicks.
Yeah. When it comes to Man United, just leave us out of this conversation. We're going to lose most of the games. Oral Campbell's going to be so pissed off I said that, but it's true. Ange literally said it doesn't matter who the players are. Get on with it, mate. Sometimes you have to adapt your style with the tools. Look,
it does matter.
It does matter. I think I think Ange is right in the principle of you should start to implement your style straight away. What Ten Hag has done of, well, I don't quite have the players to play it perfectly, so I'm not going to do it. That for me is wrong. What Ange is doing is right to a degree, but there's got to be adaptations. And this is what I mean by it's a nuanced conversation that where you're talking about him not changing. I get Kate's point that he won't change anything. Well, he probably has to change a few small bits if you're going to keep moving up the levels. If he doesn't, he'll come a cropper. But his basic fundamentals, you should be instructing them straight away. So that element, I agree with him. I said at the start of the season that Spurs are in for a ride. A geezer from the Scottish League was a hella risk. He had a BTEC Graham Potter. He's a BTEC Graham Potter. I said this in pre-season. You waffle, don't understand. Do you know what's really interesting? A lot of Spurs fans after 10 games said I got it wrong about him. I bet some of them are wishing, I wish I hadn't cashed in those chips so early. Because you know how people are online. Like I bet some are thinking, oh, what do I do? The fact that Mr. Box Office thinks that players aren't good is crazy. They are good, but do you have more than 22 players to play your style? Yeah, there are good players there. They just need better. That's right.
The depth of Spurs is bad.
Yeah, I agree. At Man United, it's both Ten Hag and the players. It can be both. Funny enough, both Ange and Ten Hag start well at their respective clubs before falling off. Good chance they both are still here next season.
Ange is doing, let me tell you this. Ange is doing what we praised Klopp for doing his first season in Liverpool. Remember when he finished 8th?
Yeah.
And everyone praised him. You know why? Because he stuck with his guns. He developed a style of play, and eventually he became a champion. And people went back and said, I'm not saying, by the way, that Ange is ever going to win anything, because that depends on the recruitment. What Klopp did is now this is what people are criticizing Ange for, which is sticking by his guns. I agree with you, Terry. You said the perfect thing, because I've had everyone who's watched my content throughout the season will know I have one criticism of Ange, which is adaptability. Because I do feel at the end of the day, you can have the best 11 in the league, and you still need to be adaptable when you go to City, Arsenal, Liverpool, depending on big occasions. That's the one thing that I always criticized him for. But the fact that he's played his style to the point that he exposed the bad bunch from the good bunch, and people still want to shit on him for it and say he deserves to get sacked, that's to me what's laughable. Because anyone else could have done what Ten Hag did, and see that he doesn't want to expose himself and play a style of play that is not suitable to the players, and ends up losing anyways, and ends up looking like shit a season later, which is exactly what happened from last season to this season.
I get you there. By the way, I've met a few new people moderators. Don't delete people's comments that you dislike, because I'll take the privilege away. Like, it's racism, sexism, everything else ignore and they go away. Even people that troll and, like, what's that word called? Spam. Ignore. If you mention them or block them, they just go and get another account and start doing it. So just ignore people and they go away. Trust me. 100%. The players have down tools, and Ange has already said that he needs to change this squad. It is an important summer for Spurs, as there is a need for a big shake-up in the squad. Jerome, you're spot on. You're spot on in terms of that. And you might find some of the players that know they're leaving have down tools now. Players do silly things like that. Pav here says, Dan, let's assume your club sticks with Ange and helps him build a team he wants. How confident are you on Spurs performing better, especially when he won't use a plan B and is stuck with just attacking football?
Look, I think that he is somewhat stubborn when it comes to not changing, but I think that could also be a positive, because you look at, as Staffy said, an example, Eric Ten Hag, where he says he doesn't have the players to play with the system that he wants to play. And look at him, he's losing either way. So I think if we keep going with this process, at one point it's going to work. I also think at the end of the season, he's going to have to do something a little bit like Pep does, where he tweaks something small with the system, changes it up a little bit. And I mean, with this guy, Ange, if you actually look into it, it's usually in the second season where he takes off. Even at Celtic, if you look at the first season, it's a lot similar how we're playing right now, conceding a lot from corners. I saw an article the other day about they were talking about Celtic's goalkeeper when the corners were coming, he's too soft. And I'm looking at it like it's the same thing we're going through now. Next season they won the treble, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know. It's looking good for us next season.
Win the treble. Cool.
I'm not saying that. Don't jump the gun. But I'm saying it's looking a little bit exciting.
I like that. It's a nice measured approach there, young Daniel. Kate, I heard you saying Arteta is a fraud so many times a few months ago. Now you're saying Spurs are miles behind the top three. Make it make sense.
Yeah, because
I've said all along that we're miles behind Arsenal and Liverpool and City. And I even said on my first ever appearance on here that I thought Villa would finish above us this year. But I did kind of change my view on Arteta. I don't like to say it, makes me feel a bit sick, but he hasn't impressed me this year.
Do you know what? Do you know what I find really interesting?
That's
And it's one of those things that Kate's not the type of person, same as Alan isn't, that would celebrate their team being bad. But I saw Kate especially. Maybe Alan got this, but I didn't see it. But so much dogs abuse from certain Spurs fans and Spurs accounts for the majority of this season, not for being horrible about a club, but being level-headed, staying calm, praising the good things, calling out the areas that need to improve, the crap on her live streams, the crap on Twitter, etc., all just for being, in the end, pretty much spot on about everything. Yeah. And it's a typical rule in life. If you say something that is not mad controversial, I'm not talking about political stuff, but in football, you give an opinion and you get that kind of response, it's normally because people think you're right to a certain degree. It's normally because they think you're right.
I just combine 11 Tottenham players get more because a lot of people react to it.
Now, I've said pretty much what I say on here. I say on my channel, I'll get called toxic and negative and all that. I'm just like, no, it's being as honest as I can. I'm going to be consistent. I'll be as honest as I can, but I get told I'm toxic and negative.
Yeah, so. There's a balance. What you did, Dan, is the opposite side. You're saying something that if you tweeted out that now, Elon Musk would community note you and say that you're engagement farming. Like, because it's like when Igal did the combined 11 with Real Madrid. I don't believe in his objective heart of hearts he means that. And that's the one thing I would say. Like everybody's opinion, everyone who's big on TikTok, generally speaking, they say things that are so out there, it's unbelievable, right? That's the way TikTok works. But yeah, but when people attack you for you being critical, it's typically in that specific example, that is generally because they know what you're saying is true. To think Spurs fans were so full of themselves to wish the team throws a game against City, lol. But the Spursiest thing will be to throw the game from away top four and contrive to beat City, making Arsenal champions. It would be hilarious. Ange is like Potter in the sense that he just brushes things off. He makes excuses. He's a little more assertive in his words than Potter, but not much. Oh, he's a much better communicator than Potter. Oral Campbell here. He says, I know what really puzzles me. People always talking crap every day and hate when people call them out. Plus, Player FC need to get out of my club.
Yeah, there's an unfollow button on Twitter. Just unfollow me. There you go. Your life is fixed. You don't need to follow me, bro. How many times do I need to ignore
turn off post notifications as well?
Rattled.
Bro, just mute me, bro. It's simple.
Rattled. Kenny here says,
I'm giving him a solution there. I'm just trying to help him with life, bro.
No, anyway, go the Arsenal route and get players from rivals with mentality. Buy experienced players from City, Liverpool, etc., and not players like Johnson and Madders. Element of truth to that. Remember when Spurs fans laughed at us after they finished above us 2 seasons ago? You will not have a better chance to be in the top 4 now. Look. Yeah, time itself can just be a humbler, can't it? I actually went back and something popped up on my TL from a match reaction with me and my best mate Phil when he was round here like 4 years ago, and Liverpool just slapped up Arsenal. And I went back and listened to 10 minutes of it. And we both talked about how bad Arsenal were. And you fast forward 4 years, and it's like I never would have thought 4 years ago that I'd be envious of how good at football Arsenal have become. It's crazy. Jerome here says, I know those players stopped playing because the Euros is coming, and also some will be playing in the Olympics for their country. They are all a disgrace. Kate might say she is immune, but I still get hurt by this cringy club.
Copa America as well. Copa America.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yes. Should we send Richarlison to the National League? I think it's fair because even there he'd struggle in Barnett's first 11.
Richarlison was one of our best players today.
Yeah, see, I have an issue today. He played good today, and people were pushing agendas that have nothing to do with the game.
He shouldn't be called out today. Personally, I agree.
He literally changed the game for them. It's just funny, bro. It's really funny.
Everyone ignoring the elephant in the room with Ange. Spurs' attack is awful. They don't play good football. They barely create chances.
I've called it out. I said that front line needs to be massively improved.
I don't think. All right, I got a question. Have Spurs played because for me, the best I've seen Spurs play all year was when you guys slapped us up 4-1 at the Tottenham Stadium, Newcastle, right? Do you think you've had a better game since then? Or a game anywhere near as good as that?
I think
Villa maybe.
4-0 Villa. Yeah, 4-0 Villa.
Oh, yeah, Villa. So
even though Villa got a red card, so it was a little bit like 10 versus 11.
I have Kulusevski on 1 goal in 18, bro.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
That's disgusting, bro.
Viewers, I want to obviously shout out our title sponsors today at Brickhouse Nutrition. Make sure you're checking out their super food organic range. If you're training, if you want to eat good, if you want to improve your general health, this is the supplement to take. It's suitable for your children. It's suitable for anybody of any age because it isn't full of any additives or gunk or sugar or crap or any kind of drug. It is purely organic ingredients to help make your nutrition better. You can get a 15% discount by using promo code SQUAD when you're checking out on the website. Scan the QR code, go and have a look. It is quite pricey, but as my dad always said to me, cheap is actually expensive. So go and check that out. I want to thank everyone that tuned in. I know we haven't spoke much about Liverpool, but it's not really the show for it, really. We'll do a little bit of that on the Top 6 show tomorrow. This stream is going to take you to Mo and Husam's channel, MHF. So go and check that out when this ends. But until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very